Welcome everybody to another episode of the Biryani Football Podcast. My name is Rashee Rice, and we have a lot of things in store for today. It was a very eventful week 7 of the NFL, and right now it's anyone's chance to take over and come out on top. So I'm really excited to go over the games and looking forward to what's next.
Right. Welcome once again to our podcast. Like Viraj said, it's anybody's game now. I mean, pretty much across the divisions, there's nothing like no lock that one team is like up across a specific division or even the conference for that matter. I mean, no more unbeaten teams, right? No more unbeaten teams. We already saw that last week. And now it's, the teams are like, it looks like, they're tuning up. But you know what? I usually see a pattern. You have like the rust in the first few games because of the summer, and there's like this peak where everybody is like in full swing mode, and then the attrition comes in, like people getting injured, and we already see some teams that are going through that phase. And through this process, teams will start bubbling up, like what's good, what teams are not good anymore. We see like coaches getting fired, OCs getting fired, players getting benched, and this is the time of that season where these kind of things start happening. But like the good teams, they start getting better, and they will eventually, like you'll see them in the playoffs, right? I think that's how this works. But what a week! So Viraj, I mean, what teams are you going? What games are you going to cover from week 7 for us?
Yeah, I agree. It is becoming to that point where it's not really exactly about who is the most talent, but who's able to last the longest now. And it's about those intangible qualities. So, um, firstly, I want to go over the Raiders game, which is a very interesting game. Not in the fact that it was the most fun to watch, but it shows the Chiefs are capable of winning again. They had a very rough start, starting off 0-2, and then they lost to the Jaguars again. So right now they're sitting at 4-3, but a lot of people have them at number one, and I wouldn't blame them because they played lights up. They just dominated the Raiders in every single aspect of the game. They held them only to 95 yards, which is insane. Geno Smith had 67 passing yards, and which isn't saying much from the Chiefs, considering that Geno Smith has one of the lowest passer ratings in the entire league with 67, with I think a 67 or around 70 range passer rating. So
Mm.
it's not looking good for him. And you know, Ashton Genty, 6 carries, 21 yards. I mean, all these things going around with the Raiders, and it's just they're all over the place and discombobulated. And the Chiefs did exactly what they were supposed to do. Obviously, their run game wasn't that good. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco only had 57 yards on 15 carries, which
Mm.
is not much better than Aston Genty. And he did have a touchdown though, it was a pretty good touchdown. And then Patrick Mahomes though, he's been really playing good because the highest receiver on the Chiefs was Travis Kelce with 54 yards, but Patrick Mahomes had 286 yards passing, showing that he also was able to get the ball around to different people. Xavier Worthy had a couple yards, and so did some other receivers on the Chiefs. And so it's looking good for the Chiefs right now. Their defense is playing pretty good. Steve Spagnuolo, he's back to the defensive form that he was a couple years ago. And I'm really excited to see how these teams are going to play against each other next year. Not like in the upcoming weeks, and seeing how they progress. I think the Raiders right now should be focusing on getting that high draft pick and maybe getting somebody like Fernando Mendoza or someone like that from the college prospects. They have a good chance of getting the number one pick, and so if I were them right now, I would definitely be looking into what can we do to get the highest draft pick possible. Um,
So do you think like getting Geno Smith was a good move for the Raiders?
well, it depends on what they're trying to do. If they're like, if if they wanted to, tank and because they want to get a specific quarterback, maybe it was Arch Manning or somebody like that, then maybe Geno Smith was the right choice. But that's not what I think they're going for. I think they actually wanted to go all in this year,
Mm.
and they want a chance to at least make it to the playoffs. And Geno Smith is just not going to take them there. He is not the player that he was with the Seahawks a couple years ago, and
Did he get a bunch of money, or was it like a regular?
it wasn't like a lot of money.
Okay. What about Pete Carroll? Do you think he's the right fit for Raiders?
Pete Carroll. Well, it's his first year. He wasn't like given like the best playing card, so obviously he could have done better with the draft. Didn't really get anyone notable, and he definitely is not using Brock Bowers well. And Brock Bowers is injured as well, so
Mm.
I think there's a lot that they could be improving on. But I think it's Pete Carroll's first year, so I say give him another year. Yeah, he's a proven head coach with the
Okay.
Super Bowl ring on his
Right.
record. So
Yeah, he does
yeah,
have a Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched his game, but when I see the score, I'm not surprised. I mean, I've no offense to Geno Smith. I mean, I've seen him play during West Virginia days, and he was like lights out. Uh, but I was not a believer, even when he was with Jets. I mean, they were like very few and far games. I felt like he had a spark when he was in Seattle, where he did some good things, but I was never a believer. Where I thought like he's going to come to a team and turn around the program and be a strong leader. So,
yeah. So
what's the other game?
next up is the Cowboys game, and they played really well.
Mm.
Their defense did give up a lot of yards, but they got back with the sack, a few picks, and uh, yeah, they just played amazing. Their defense definitely stepped up. I think they had like around 2 turnovers in total, and then they got 4 sacks on the Commanders, so they definitely played really good. And their offense, I mean, they're playing lights out. George Pickens, he had like 168 yards, I think, and so he was playing really good. And honestly, I think he's on his way to be Offensive Player of the Year if he keeps this up. He just needs to be JSN and probably Jonathan Taylor. And I think he has great potential. Obviously, he used to be on the Steelers, so I'm a little biased here, but I always liked him as a player. And honestly, he's not even being that bad as a person, as he used to be a little bit crazy on the off the field antics, but now he's just he's humble and he's playing really good, and I'm happy for him. And Dak Prescott was playing really good. 257 passing yards, which is
Mm.
crazy against the Commanders. And, the Commanders really need to step it up. I mean, they gave up 4 sacks. They only had 1 sack. They had no other turnovers at all. And honestly, their defense is not the way I would expect it to be. Obviously, they don't have as caliber players, but neither do the Cowboys, and the Cowboys were able to play good. And Jaden Daniels is also gone, so I wouldn't have high hopes for the Commanders this year at all because Jaden Daniels is gone against the Chiefs, probably one of their hardest games of the year, and yeah, the Commanders are just all over the place. They really need to, get it back together. They've been able to get some good wins out, but like, especially against the Chargers, that was a great win. But now without Jane Daniels, that's gonna really come out to see if they're really the team that they were last year, or if they're just flukes. If last year was just a fluke, and I trust in Dan Quinn. I think that he'll be able to get them to where he needs them to be.
Mm.
But obviously, it's going to come down to the players, and the stats speak for themselves. And they definitely need to improve a lot. They had a decent time of possession too, and they didn't even play that bad offensively. But there's just so many turnovers and sacks allowed that
Mm.
it just crumbled for them. And
Yeah.
I really hope Marcus Mariota is able to kind of hold his team together. But yeah,
Yeah.
the Cowboys offense though is looking amazing, and I'm really excited to see how they play. And I hope they make the playoffs, and I really want them to be able to put their skills to good use. But
Mm.
without a great defensive performance like this one, I highly doubt their chances of making the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at your notes, Raj. I mean, the biggest thing that I actually see here is the penalties. I mean, they gave up 118 yards in penalties. The Commanders. I mean, that's unacceptable when you're playing with a high octane of offense like Cowboys, right? I mean, they're already like just firing on all cylinders, and you just can't like uh, uh, you know, give so
Yeah.
many penalties. And but pretty much across the board, I mean, the time of possession is 28 minutes to 31, pretty even. The number of plays, 64 to 62, that's pretty even. But it all comes down to, in my opinion, the penalties. I mean, there looks like they haven't played uh, a disciplined game. And when you're playing with again like a good team like Cowboys, for now at least, we'll see how long Dak will continue this, or if he will implode towards the end. And the Cowboys don't have the best defense. We talked about this a little bit last week as well. So the Commanders not taking advantage of that. They are not keeping up with the scores, and committing so many penalties. He absolutely can't do it. But I do believe Dan Quinn. I'm a fan of his, all the way from Falcons days. He's a good DC. Yeah, again, like with the Cowboys, we talked about this last week as well. So I think he'll turn the ship around. He knows how to rally his troops. Jaden Daniels is a good quarterback. I think he is. I do think he's not 100%. I think he probably is questionable for this upcoming week as well.
Yeah, he's not. He's expected to not play.
Right. So I don't think he's 100%. That's why it's because he can make plays. Even if his whole line is not good, he can run around and make plays, and when he has to take off, he takes off as well. So disappointing for Commanders, but good for Cowboys as they try to keep up the pace with the Eagles in that division. So I picked a couple of games from my side. The Broncos Giants. Oh my gosh, what a game! What a game! And I was kind of thinking, what to call that game. If I have to give a title for this game, and maybe there'll be a 30 for 30 on ESPN someday, or there will be some kind of a documentary on this game ever. I would probably title as the game of ricochets, because the ball ricocheted so many times from one player to the other, both sides, and they still either ended up on the end zone, or somehow they made converted those ricochets into first down with the Giants. So I what a game. I was following it closely, obviously, and when I saw, oh my gosh, it's going to be an upset, and that's how that's when uh the Broncos stunned the Giants with 33-point fourth quarter explosion, and they had a deficit of 19 points, and from there they went to 33 to 32. Again, the kickers, they get paid to do one job. It's not like they're O-line where they have to do multiple things, or they're not running backs where they do multiple teams or things, or wide receivers. Sometimes they have to protect the quarterback or do something to open up the lanes, whatever. Everybody has a multiple responsibilities except for the kickers. They have one job: kick the ball, kick the ball. And that dude, he actually missed couple of extra points, and I know I was looking at Lawrence Tynes' Twitter. He was a legend with the Giants, right? In the kicking game. And he's a nice guy, super nice guy. And he even came out and said, that dude is not an NFL kicker. Seriously. Can you imagine, if the Giants went, that could have, boosted. And we talked about this last time as well. Games like Eagles and Giants, one game gives them a spur. And they could have, caught the fire with this game. But now, it's sometimes these games can go either ways. They can, really, bring them up, put a little fire underneath them, and they can just go to places, or they can actually have serious mental breakdown. So we'll see what Brian Dabble does with his team based upon this game. Kicking on the other side, Will Lutz nail a 39-yard field goal. Talk about kicking, right? And the game-changing plays, there are three of them. I noted here, Dart's interception. That was bad. If you see the play, he was right in his side, line of sight, and he still threw directly to him. So that was a bad one. Theo Johnson's 41-yard touchdown. My gosh, that was really good. And obviously, Tyron Tracy's 31-yard touchdown run. So that was really good. Couple of stats, if you're interested, and probably already know this. If you didn't, the Broncos became the first NFL team to score 33 points in the fourth quarter after being shut out through 3 quarters. 33 points. Until then, my comeback game was always being the Falcons, Patriots in the Super Bowl. But this game, I know it's not any significant, it does not win a championship or a division or a Super Bowl. But still, in the big scheme of things, it can go places. So that's one of the standards. The second one is obviously they improved to 5-2 while Giants dropped to 2-5.
Yeah, and the Giants, I'm really looking forward to them. Even though they lost this game, I don't think you can blame it on anyone except for that kicker. And obviously they definitely did have a little bit of fourth quarter collapse, but they accounted for it with those a couple. They had a couple touchdowns in the fourth quarter, so I'm really excited for how they're gonna play, and I think that they have a good future ahead of them. Jackson Dart is obviously, he has a bright future ahead of him, and I'm really excited to see where he goes.
Yeah.
And you can't really blame it on anyone except for, a little bit on a little bit on the offense for kind of sputtering, and a little bit on the defense for giving up that many points. But
Yeah.
it's not really anyone's fault. And as a kicker, that's your one job is to make those kicks. And if you're missing those, I mean, what are we doing? And the Giants, they have no. Unfortunately, I think they have to cut him after that. I mean, that really
Did
breaks.
they cut or not yet?
Not yet, but that
Okay.
really
As
breaks
of
it.
Tuesday, not yet. Yeah.
That really breaks the team spirit
Yeah.
when you're winning, when you're so close to winning, and then it all just comes down to
Yeah.
you missing two important kicks. So
And the other thing is like Mile High Stadium, it's known to help the kickers.
exactly,
Like you have like because there's absolutely no air. There's no
it's the
air.
easiest place to
It's the easiest place to kick. And that guy blew it. So I mean, the other side is like Sean Payton, man. That guy's fiery. I mean, I always liked him since the Saints days because of his like fiery attitude and how like does that. And one final note on that is we saw like two franchise quarterbacks in the making. I mean, maybe Bonnett's already there, and Jackson Dart is on his way. Looks like. I mean, obviously, hopefully he'll keep up. But like young talent, the new generation is already like in the making, showing up. All right, the second game I wanted to highlight is the battle of the unks. Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, there are so many memes based on that game, like Ice Bowl or like, and all that. But you know what, though? I never thought, I even told Raj, like, I never took that game for granted from a Steelers perspective. Flacco, because he played Steelers for years across so many games, he just somehow has Steelers number. So I told him, like, before the game started, even like, I'm not going to take this game for granted. Jamar Chase, you might still have a bunch of points. I told him, and because he was obviously on my fantasy as well. But I was hoping like somehow we'll like, bounce back and like, get some points and win. But that was not the case. I wrote some notes here, like, obviously Jamar Chase played lights out, 16 receptions for 161 yards. But, to me, like the biggest turn about, thing that changed the game was interception. Like, Metcalf, man, I mean, I know the reason he's not talked in the same sphere as like JJ or Jamar Chase and all these guys is because he can't hold the ball. Seriously. Like, I mean, he has speed, but yeah, and he has like, he can take those high elevation catches, but there are so many times where I've seen, like even in Seattle, where people like, he can't catch a ball or people can take the ball out of him, whatever reason. So that was the turning point for the Bengals. Somehow they found the running game and made the defense one-dimensional. And then Flacco was throwing darts. Not only darts, all he did was throw to Jamar Chase. That's it. That's all he did. That's all he did. He was staring him with Jamar Chase and he was just throwing. Obviously, like, he did take off a couple of times, and one time where he got a first down from almost his end zone, and he did throw a touchdown to the T. Higgins. But on Steelers' side, there's no excuse to have that kind of offense, defense, highly paid defense. And the reason we got all these cornerbacks is to compete with the Bengals.
Yep.
That was a main reason because, they have like superstars on their wide receivers, and they paid bunch of money to the wide receivers, and we went spent bunch of money to the cornerbacks to keep them in check, but we're not able to stop
Jalen
them.
Ramsey was even talking about like almost the entire offseason how he was like ready to lock down Jamar Chase, and then the results speak for themselves. I mean, he was the one who gave up a lot of those plays. So
Yeah, it was very disappointing. I mean, unfortunately, this game also happened on a Thursday, so it's dreadful for 10 days that you can't have a Steelers game kind of, and you're like sulking on how this game went. It was crazy, and I mean, there's no excuse. I mean, the other thing is like Aaron Rodgers heaving the ball to the end zone towards the end, kind of almost gave flashbacks of Packers times, where he threw bombs into the end zone and somehow, he made it happen. So that was I was hoping, like secretly hoping, like, oh my gosh, somebody's going to catch the ball because Aaron Rodgers has a really good record with throwing into the end zone from Hail Mary's perspective, but it's not to be. And now Bengals is like half a game, behind Steelers, and that's not a good thing because we have a brutal of a schedule. And we have to see like how this upcoming week pans out, and hopefully the guys will bounce back. We'll see. Any further thoughts on Steelers and Bengals, Raj?
Yeah, I just, it really broke my heart. The Steelers, their one game where they should have won, considering they have one of the hardest schedules. They have one of the hardest schedules going forward. I mean, they're playing the Bills, the Lions,
Packers.
we're playing the Packers. I mean, this next 3-game series alone, we're playing the Packers and the Colts, and who was the last team? The
Also the
Packers,
Ravens, 2 games
Packers,
with the
Colts, and
Ravens.
Chargers. Playing the Packers, Colts, and Chargers back to back to back, and so I mean that was are supposed to be an easy game, like before and then we just blew it. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, I'm very pleased with how he played.
Oh yeah.
None of those interceptions are really his fault, and so
And he's like the more I was the thing is he again. I told you. I just said, maybe I jinxed it. It's like he's the most accurate quarterback. He's not going to turn. And the next play throws a pick.
yeah, but I wouldn't
It's
say
not his fault. But
I wouldn't
still,
say it
it's
was
going to
his
be on his
fault.
stand.
Yeah, and he's doing everything he can, and he was scrambling really well, and I was pretty surprised. He was moving really well for a 41-year-old quarterback, and so I'm not writing off the Steelers yet, but they definitely love to improve. And the Bengals, they're still alive in the AFC North race to win it. They're not dead yet, and it's really going to come down to the next few games. And they don't have the hardest schedule, but they should be able to win a couple more games. I don't know if they're going to win any games that are outside of the division, but time will tell. And Joe Flacco might actually pull another the Browns run again. So yeah,
we'll see. The thing about Flacco though is I've seen this movie before. He comes to a team and he just like plays lights out, and give him a couple games and then he starts kind of throwing to the other side of the team. So yeah, I don't think that streak is going to continue. I can guarantee that. We'll see. Yeah. All right, Raj. So what 2 games are like couple games that you're looking forward to for the next week?
I think one of the games I'm looking forward to is the Packers versus Steelers. That's gonna be a really interesting game. Aaron Rodgers.
Is it a home game or is it in
It's a
Lambeau?
home game.
Or it's in Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So I'm pretty
And it's a prime time, right?
Sunday Night Football. So I'm really excited to see that. It's Aaron Rodgers' homecoming game to the Green Bay Packers. So
not homecoming. If they're playing in Pittsburgh, it's not homecoming.
Well, like he's playing the Packers.
Yeah, but still, it's not homecoming. So yeah,
sure. But yeah, he's playing the Packers for the first time. Since he left, I'm pretty sure. So it's gonna be a very interesting matchup, and I'm really looking forward to this game, to seeing how he's gonna do against this team. This is really gonna be a defining game for the Steelers.
Yeah.
I mean, if they win this game, it's gonna show that they're real playoff contenders. But if they lose, they're gonna look like frauds because this is probably the hardest game of the season so far. So if they're not able to win this one, I mean, what kind of team are they? So it's a really important game for the Steelers and the Packers as well, because up to this point, the Packers have had a little bit of chip on the shoulder, especially ever since they lost to tied with the Cowboys. It left a bad taste in people's mouths. So and the Packers really haven't lived up to expectations since. So
yeah.
This is also a defining game for the Packers as well, because this is also one of their hardest games of the year, depending on how the Steelers play, obviously. So, but I would say it's more important for the Steelers to win this game than it is for the Packers to win this game, because how is it going to reflect on Mike Tomlin, the defense, the offense, and everything that is affected by this game? So it's a very important game for both teams.
I agree. I mean, like pretty much everybody is talking the entire week, like I said, for 10 days about Steelers overpaid defense. So I hope Tomlin knows how to kind of, lit the fire, in that room, in that locker room, and like bring the people to play. So I agree. I do agree. It's going to be a great game. Hopefully the O-line will hold up the pass rush from the Packers, especially with the guy, Michael Parsons, on that team now. Hopefully they'll hold up, and we won't like open running lanes to their running backs or their amazing wide receivers as well. So great opportunity for the Steelers to show up and actually prove a point. So we'll see. What's the other game?
Well, that was my one game. No other game on this schedule really like piques my interest, but yeah.
Okay. I have a couple games. Eagles and Giants. That's the other game that I'm looking forward to. I think it's going to be a great game, especially like the way the Giants beat Eagles. Now I know like everybody, all my friends who are Eagles fans, they're talking like, oh, we're going to play them in a couple of weeks. So this is a week that's going to they play. They're going to be extra motivated. Eagles are coming up with a really good win. And looks like there's some harmony in the wide receivers room as well. So I think it's going to be a great game, and I have to see like how Giants are going to bounce back from a heartbreaking loss, or maybe they'll build up on that loss and extra motivated that what's possible if they can really play well. So and maybe we'll see a new kicker on the Giants side, and it's going to be in Philly, so it's not going to be fun for them to play there, but it's going to be an awesome game. That's one game we'll look forward to, and also Cowboys and like Eagles. We talked about it. Like I think it's going to be a pretty tight race in NFC East. So it's going to be a great game. The other game that I'm secretly really hoping for an upset is Jets and Bengals, because Jets are like they're in dumpster fire right now. I mean, they're not playing well at all. But at the same time, like I'm really hoping they'll get to go beat Bengals because Flacco played for Jets and they know how he plays. And I do believe in Jets defense. They're pretty good, pretty solid. And if I have to like pick one team out of Jets, special teams, offense and defense, I would pick the defense team to be like their best bet to win games for them, and they're running it. So we'll see. I'm really hoping for an upset just to kind of put some cushion between between the Steelers and the Bengals. So those are the two games that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I think the Eagles Giants game is definitely going to be interesting because, well, if the Eagles lose, it'll look really bad on them. But if the Giants win, it'll look really good on them. And if the Giants lose, whatever, it's the Giants. They weren't really expected to win anyway. So
Yeah,
it's a very important game for the Eagles. And they can't afford to lose this one. And but I think that the Eagles will probably win if I had to pick a team. But I'm really excited to see this game, man. It's a great rivalry, historic rivalry between the two teams, and
yeah,
I think it's going to be a good game, a fun game to watch too. Assuming that the offenses both play really well, which I think they will. They're both coming off two really great games
yeah.
offensively. So, and the Jets Bengals game, I wouldn't like put that like on my personal best games. I think it's probably gonna be one of the worst games.
You never know.
But
In football, you never know.
I think that the Bengals they're definitely gonna be really good offensively, and I wonder what's going through the Jets Aaron Glenn's head right now. Does he want to try to get that number one pick, or does he want to still do whatever he can to maybe hopefully keep his job for the
Yeah.
season? So.
Well, I mean, did you see Woody Johnson's quote today? Well, he came out and said, I'm going to back the coach because we don't really have a really good quarterback. That's basically what he said, if I have to paraphrase. He's like, if you see the quarterback rating on what we have right now, you're working with a quarterback, so I can't really blame the coach. So I think he has the coach's back. Maybe he'll give him at least a year. We'll see. But yeah, I think that's all we have for today. Thank you for the love that you have been showing us by checking out our channel and also sharing and liking our videos. Continue to share with your friends. And we'll talk to you next week.
Yep. And if you have anything you want us to talk about, once again, our comment section is always free for you to say anything you want. And any suggestions, anything you want to hear us talk about, any biryani recommendations too. And it's all there in the comment section down below. So yeah,
Absolutely.
see you next time. Bye.
Bye all.